On September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II of England passed away. This was a momentous event for the country and the world. After 70 years of reign, the throne automatically passed to her son, Prince Charles, although not for long. If you're curious about what could happen with the English crown in the coming years, stay with us in this new chapter of surprising stories. The death of Queen Elizabeth II undoubtedly opened an uncertain period. After so many years of reign, no one knows for sure what will happen from now on. Some say that the monarchy will begin to degrade little by little until it falls, but others claim that King Charles III will rule until he's 100 years old. According to experts, however, it's more likely that his reign won't last long, and in about 3 years, a transition will begin in which the crown of Charles III will pass to one of his children. To understand the reasons why we have to go back in time to Charles' childhood. If we had to describe Prince Charles' childhood in a few words, we could say that he was a poor little rich boy. The son of Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh, was born on November 14, 1948. According to an English newspaper, at the time of his birth, his father was not present because he was playing squash. When he finally met the baby, the first and only thing he said was, "Oh, it looks like plum pudding." As you can see, the heir to the throne lacked the affection of his parents from day one. Hugs and kisses were never a daily thing for him. His own mother greeted him with a handshake, and if he wanted to see her, he needed to make an appointment to meet with her. Compliments were also not common. The Duke of Edinburgh constantly told his son that he was slow to develop and unable to do things properly. For this reason, Prince Charles was raised by his nannies. When he was 8, Queen Elizabeth II decided to make him the first heir to the throne to be educated outside of the royal palace and sent him to Hill House School in London. His stay there was not long. He had difficulty relating to others, so 6 months later, the Duke transferred him to all school. However, things did not improve. His classmates made fun of his ears, called him chubby, and physically assaulted him. Charles would hug his teddy bear and cry alone frequently. The constant bullying had turned Prince Charles into a lonely, insecure, and withdrawn child. He did not do well in class because he was easily distracted and was not good at team sports. He played rugby so badly that they called him the Duck. In reality, he liked art, drawing, and music, but since he knew his parents would not approve, he put them aside. The only thing he wanted was to please them. He sought the approval of the Duke so much that he even started to imitate his walking style with his arm behind his back, gesturing with his right index finger, and tucking his left arm. In May 1961, Prince Charles was hospitalized due to Asian flu. His family not only did not visit him, but when he recovered, his parents sent him to a new boarding school called Gordonstone, which the prince later described as a prison. It was not exactly the most pleasant place in the world. They were forced to run in the early morning, bathe in cold water, and at night, bullies tormented them with beatings and aggression. Sadly, Charles grew up in this childhood and adolescence of bullying and lack of affection, which traumatized him and turned the adult Prince Charles into a socially awkward and emotionally immature person. Worst of all, the English people knew about it. In all ceremonies, Queen Elizabeth II's son was always alone and distant. Testimonies from many former servants of Buckingham Palace who worked for him revealed that Prince Charles had unbearable aristocratic whims and an eccentric personality full of quirks. Lady Di's former butler, Paul Burrell, described him as a petulant, extravagant, and meddling person. Prince Charles is full of obsessions and ridiculous demands. He cannot sleep if the windows in the room are not wide open, even in winter and low temperatures. It is believed that he acquired this mania during his time in boarding school. He also forces those who work for him to iron his pajamas every day, including the laces of his shoes. He never dresses but demands the help of 2 servants. He also does not brush his teeth alone, but requires his staff to put toothpaste on his brush, always at an exact height of 1.5 centimeters, according to Burrell. Charles III is accustomed to having absolutely everything is done for him, not only within the palace but also outside of it. When traveling abroad, his demands are no less. He does not travel unless his orthopedic bed, photos, decorations, and furniture are brought along, and everything must be installed when he arrives at his destination. He has even taken his own toilet and preferred toilet paper, Kleenex velvets. Wow! What quirks with this extravagant and obsessive personality. It's not surprising if I say that Prince Charles was not particularly the most loved person in England, and to make matters worse, it only got worse when Charles III divorced Lady Di in 1996, the popular princess who enamored the British and the whole world. Not only did he separate from her, but he was unfaithful to her from the beginning with Camilla Parker Bowles. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded, Diana told the BBC, referring to Camilla. Being unfaithful to Lady Di didn't make Prince Charles look good, and people began to view him unfavorably. For the English people, Camilla was the evil lover, Diana was the victim, and the cold and distant husband, Charles, was the villain of the whole story. On August 31, 1997, just after signing her divorce, Diana Spencer died in a car accident in a tunnel in Paris while escaping from the paparazzi in a car with her boyfriend, Dodi Al-Fayed. The whole world was shocked, and conspiracy theories about the involvement of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Charles in what happened quickly spread. Whether Prince Charles was involved in her death or it was an accident, who knows? The truth is that upon the death of Queen Elizabeth II, that cold and distant husband Charles became king, and Camilla his mistress became queen consort. Thus, the discreet charm of Queen Elizabeth II was replaced by a royal couple with more opacity than shine. Of course, people do not have a very good image of them. Charles, with his obsessions and infidelities, never gained the love of his people. Who wanted to have an insecure, weak, full of ridiculous and extravagant manias, and possibly implicated in the death of his wife Lady Di as king? Well, I am not English, but honestly, I wouldn't want someone like that as king. According to experts, when the shock and emotion of the people over what happened dissipates, the attention of the British will fall back on Buckingham Palace, where there is no longer Elizabeth II or the Duke of Edinburgh, nor the beloved George VI or Lady Di, but the insecure and unfaithful King Charles III and his ex-lover Camilla Potterballs. It is very likely that when people's discontent and anxiety begin to be felt, politics will react. No official wants the monarchical regime to falter. If this happens, both in Westminster and in Parliament, pressures to accelerate the times and transfer the crown to a person who is appreciated and respected by the people will increase. In this way, Charles III would not remain on the throne until his death but would transfer the throne to his heir in a couple of years. Okay, but wait. This could happen. Of course, it wouldn't be the first time. This has happened before. To tell the truth, the fact has many similarities. Let us tell you about the case of Talal bin Abdallah. And who is this gentleman? Well, here we go. In 1951, the current West Bank, which at that time was called the Emirate of Jordan, was governed by King Abdallah bin Hussein. Although he made some mistakes during his term, he was a respected and beloved ruler by his people. So nobody expected the tragedy that happened. It turns out that while he was praying in a mosque in Alexa one afternoon with his grandson, he was shot in the head. So the king died instantly. With that assassination, the territory lost its king, just like England lost its monarch with the death of Queen Elizabeth II. As we know, the heir to the throne was Charles III. But in the West Bank, who was it? Well, automatically assuming the throne was the son of the king, Talal bin Abdallah. And, unlike the English heir, he was not at all popular. He had a highly negative image and was not loved by his people. Unlike Charles, he had not had any romances, or at least not that we know of. But what is certain is that he was very insecure and considered by many to be an extravagant and capricious useless person. He ruled by ordinances, and the palace servants ran around trying to guess his wishes. In the palace corridors, it was said that this young man, more than a Jordanian royal, seemed like a Scottish noble. However, during his reign, he did some positive things. He promoted the drafting of a liberal constitution for the Kingdom of Jordan that would allow the formation of a representative government. He also worked to improve relations between the Kingdom of Jordan and its previously tense neighboring Arab states of Egypt and Saudi Arabia. However, nobody wants a weak and capricious king. His deeds were not enough. The people and Bedouin sheikhs did not see him as a king capable of ruling smoothly for the people. Talal was simply not in a position to replace his father, and that was what happened. Well, finally, just 1 year after assuming the throne, Talal bin Abdallah stepped down. It was said that he had schizophrenia and that he had become ill, but the truth is that he was not a king with the support and affection of his people, and the authorities pressured him to step aside to maintain the stability of the kingdom. In 1952, he abdicated, took off his crown, and his eldest son, José Inventador, assumed the throne at just 16 years old. Okay, and what happened to Talal bin Abdallah? Well, he died 10 years later, on July 7, 1972. So the similarities between both stories are incredible. According to international analysts, something similar could happen with Charles III. The king would rule for a brief period, and in just a couple of years, his son William, the Prince of Wales, would assume the throne. What do you think? Have you heard this theory about Charles' reign? What do you think of Prince William as a future king? Well, we want to know your opinion. Leave us a comment, and thanks for watching.